Hi everyone, so today I'm going to unbox Dark Souls, the card game, as you can see. I'm a massive fan of the video game series, Dark Souls, and also Bloodborne, of course, which is by the same studio. In fact, playing Dark Souls 2 at the moment, and as soon as I saw this was being released, it piqued my interest straight away. I particularly like card games, really into adventure card games. I haven't played the Dark Souls board game, I have to admit. It doesn't really appeal to me with all the minis, but this is definitely right up my street. So, without further ado, let's have a look what's inside. So I'll just take the cellophane off a second if I can get in. There we go. Should we get a better idea what this looks like when you can see it in matte, actually, rather than having the shiny plastic on it. So a typical Dark Souls style character that you see on all of the artwork that comes with the video games primarily. And then just have a quick look at the edges of the box. Oops, a typically gothic looking door there, and again some sort of gothic architecture, which is to say very evocative of the video game, and just general sort of ruins, etc. that you see. On the back, we've got a little bit of blurb here talking. As you know, if you do play Dark Souls, there's an awful lot of flavour, I guess, that's in the world that the characters talk about in very ominous terms. A lot of time doesn't make a great deal of sense. Having a quick read of that earlier is exactly the same. But it also just ends there with "This is Dark Souls," and I think somewhere down here has got "Prepare to die," which is the overarching theme of Dark Souls, because those of you who play the video games know that basically you end up dying quite a lot because they're quite difficult games. So the first thing we see is the instruction booklet, same art as on the front of the game. Quick Ready Reckoner or reference sheet there, just telling you about all of the icons, I'm guessing, that are on the cards. Nice bit of artwork there. So I understand that this comes with 4 characters. You can play 4 different characters. Again, some very nice artwork there. So I think it comes with 4 characters. A lot like the game, I think the idea is to move through a level or the environment and not die. So then you get to the end of the level, where there's an end of level boss that you have to defeat. So continue to have a quick flick through. I'm assuming this art actually is probably from the art books from the games. Boss encounters. Talks about the bosses that you get here. I think that as you can see, it's got special rules for one of them there, and also for another. Actually, all of them have got special rules. There's a couple over here as well. So I understand that each boss encounter is quite different, and therefore the tactics that you need to employ are different as well. We've got some suitably gothic and looking counters there. These are souls. This is what souls look like in your inventory in the game. See, this is some, I imagine, status tokens potentially, because it looks like a drop of poison, doesn't it? More or less the same on the back. They're sort of, again, I've not played the game clearly because I'm just unboxing it, but I understand these are sort of like player boards, and I think these are the environments actually. So this is you travelling between the various different locations that you'll travel during in the game. And this is a bonfire, so I'm assuming bonfire is a sort of starting or save point in the game. So I assume that's where you'll start. This looks like bosses, etc., isn't it, over here? But again, I am just guessing at this point, so don't hold me to that. Again, a similar. I think this is where you lay out your characters or potentially the enemies. There's 2 of them, one for your characters, one for your enemies. Again, watching videos online, I understand you have a concept of a back and front row in terms of attacking and fighting enemies. So, for example, the back row would be ranged characters or mages or something along those lines, whereas the front line would be the melee characters and the tanks who can sort of keep the enemies at bay. So I think these sort of butt against one another like this. So you have your front row of enemies and characters and back rows. And we have a single baggie for some reason. I haven't said that says there aren't that many tokens, so that'd be for the tokens. And then some decks of cards. I've got a lot of cards actually. So this will be a character. So excuse me, I'll go off screen to try and get into this. Just in case you use the teeth are necessary. They aren't. Right. So this is a character, because these are the characters that you can play in the game, or with like a character class. You can see that it's got a special ability or something at the bottom here. Perseverance. Flip this card over and heal yourself or another character by 3. Yeah, so again, and then we've got flip this character card over when you next rest at a bonfire. So it's obviously like is exhausted. So you go out into your level. You can use your special ability, but then it's used for that time. You go back to the bonfire or save point, and then you're allowed to flip your card back over. So next time you can go out, you can use that ability again. And then we just have what these like on the back. So I'm guessing these presumably are items given the chest on the back. So a quick flick through. So it's very basic weapons by the looks of it. And armour. So oh yes, presumably this is the Herald's kit then actually. So we've got the kite shield. We also had Herald's armour there. So this presumably might be the starting hand if it's sorted. As you'll know, if you play a lot of card games or buy a lot of card games, they're not always sorted. So actually, as I'm doing this, you can see that there are just sort of general cards here. So maybe I'm wrong. We've got Remnant of Humanity. Not sure what that is, if I'm honest. I've got lots of those. Okay. Quite a thick wedge of cards here, which I'm failing to get into. Different symbol on the back, got the bonfire. I don't know if that's on all of these. No, so you've got different backs. These are different decks that are laid out. So that's continuing. We just continue. Find the end of that. So yeah, this is obviously the items still. So again, we've got weapons. And these are very much as they appear in the game. If you played the game, you'll recognise these types of icons. Again, they are normally against black backgrounds. Very attractive shield. Yeah, so for instance, in Dark Souls 2, I'm using this ring currently. Certainly in the video game, it's to do with stamina recovery, how fast it recovers. Whether that's the same, also I don't know what this technically means currently. I assume it will be a similar thematic use in this game as well. So these are spells, or anything here where you've got something on the background of a scroll. I guess you probably guessed that yourselves, but that's a spell. These, so again in the game, these are things that add extra damage to your weapon. So this, for instance, put lightning on your weapon. Yeah, so on here you can see the same sort of thing. So you get +1 damage. So this is a boss's weapon actually. Vord is a boss, so presumably if you defeat him, you can pick up his weapons. So it's got like a little blue spot here in the corner, so that may be denoting, yeah, the fact that this is a special item. The armor, classic armor there for Dark Souls fans. And then we've got some. These are like locations. Oh, it's quite small, as you can see. But that's obviously to fit in all these texts. I think this is obviously the number of players, presumably. And then I'm guessing this would be the number of cards at that location, potentially. Number of items, so the number of items, number of enemies. I think these are grades of enemy, aren't they? Lots of grey. It's a bit more light. Also called, suitably ominous titles like Black Dungeon, Empty Crypt, Silent Tombs, Lost Shrine. In fact, all of them are called nothing very Pit of the Dead. Pretty much peaking there with dark imagery, as you'd expect with Dark Souls. You're not going to get something called, I don't know, the Unicorn Meadows or anything nice like that. This is just slightly different. So these have actually got bonfires on the back, as we saw earlier. So again, this must be different levels of bonfire. That is again a concept that you can see the number in the top left-hand corner there is changing. So presumably to different levels of bonfire, which is a concept that you have in the video game as well. Get a bit quicker through these. Okay, so these are clearly enemies. So we've got hollow soldiers. Again, these are enemies that if you play the game, you'll very much recognise the style of them. Let's just quickly skip through to see if we can see if the bosses are in here. That's very cool. So if you're a Dark Souls fan, as soon as I saw this, the fact that it's got all this really cool art was a big draw. But the gameplay does look fun and slightly unusual in terms of that positioning of your enemies and how you fight. So this is a boss. That's one of the bosses, as is this one. A bit closer. This is in the video game. Certainly, that's a very large character that fills the whole screen. And as you can see there, it says Wolnir's hands begin in play. So actually, in the video game, he's so large that he can basically crush you with one hand. And here we have them. In fact, one was left hand, presumably his right hand. Yeah, indeed. Then we have more enemies. These obviously look to be special moves of the boss. So you've got backhand swipe, hammer fist, etc., etc. So again, you can see that he seems to have an awful lot more than perhaps Wolnir did. And again, there's quite a few there for the other characters, or bosses, I should say. Oh, there we go. No, as I said that, he's got some more. Very dramatic looking icon there. Not sure what that means, but I'm assuming that actually might mean he's sweeping across that. I'm assuming, looking at it, you can see there's two tracks on here, so this would be the front and back track, presumably, or maybe that's the front and that's the back. I'm not sure on the cardboard tracks we were looking at earlier. Again, we've got another class card here. I'm going to make less of a hash opening this one. Yeah, oh yeah, got the end. There we go. So again, this would be a player character. The knight. So sure about the sorcerer and the assassin. Yeah, presumably they are as well. Yeah, by the looks of the similarity in the cards. And we've got another whole bunch of weapons and armour. Stamina. So I think these cards are, the very limited understanding I have of the game at this point in time. I think this is showing what you need to spend, in effect, to use this weapon to get what is presumably 2 damage, I'm guessing. So then within your hand, you'll have cards with those icons on that you can play. And I think this icon is, I'm assuming because it's got that circle, is you can play it and you get to keep it in your hand, hence why it costs a lot more. What I'm assuming here is discarding it, but you only have to pay 1 of your cards with that icon on to get 2 damage, whereas to recycle it, as you can see, you need a couple of different types and something else, whatever that might be. So here we go, and yep, they've got lots more. And more weapons. think we have seen most of the types, but we'll just quickly open, because we've seen weapons, we've seen the bosses, we've seen the characters, we've seen locations. So if we just quickly scoot through this to see if there's anything different. Just talk amongst yourselves. Right, there we go. Well, it is slightly different in so much as we've got two halves. But other than that, I think we are there. So yeah, different types of cards that you can spend. So there we have it. Dark Souls, the card game. Can't wait to get this to the table. So it does look really interesting in terms of gameplay. I guess if you were going to criticise it at this point, if you don't like black, it's not the game for you. I think that's certainly the case. But though, to be fair, there are some shades of fairly dark grey. So hope you enjoyed that, and I will perhaps do a review video at a later date as well. So speak to you again soon.